Alrighty. Okay. So just getting ready to go live over here, getting everyone the link. We're going to do some review of Pesach Halacha and for the Seder. And we are going to start here in just about 1 minute. So passing out the link to a few people and we're going to get moving. And a few people asked for it here. So I'm switching off of Zoom. And yeah, so we'll be here getting going in just a moment. So 30 more seconds, and then I am going live. Be with everyone here in about 30 more seconds. Alrighty. And we are getting going over here and pulling up the halachas and alrighty, let's get going here. All right, and here we are, Seder preparations. And this is how we're gonna do it. Seder preparations. Let's get going and start discussing all the Seder prep here. All right. Again, coming from the guide that the Dots put out of Crown Heights and going through this with step by step. Seder preparation. Set the table while it's still day. So don't wait until after Shkia. Get your table set tomorrow. Set it up nicely so that the Seder can begin as soon as it gets dark. This year, Tati doesn't need to go to shul. You know, the famous setup that as soon as Tati gets home from shul, we make Kiddush. Now, there's no getting home from shul, so gets dark out, go right to Marv. Do not forget Hallel. Tomorrow night is a big one. There is Hallel in Marv tomorrow night. Full Hallel, both nights of Pesach, so that's a big one. Is there a place I can see if there's anyone commenting? I think that I have got to pull up. I think that people have questions over here. That there is the ability to watch comments over here. It says chat is disabled. Why is chat disabled? Okay, I guess there's no chat. But you can message me on Facebook if you're following, or WhatsApp, or whatever. You guys all know who I am. And you can share around the link. So, alrighty. Passing out the link to a few more people here. All right. And back with you all. Okay. So by tomorrow afternoon already, we start setting up the table, and we get our table set up and ready, and we go straight into the Seder. We want to have everything set up ahead of time. You want to put out the matzahs, the wine, including removing the seals and opening the bottles. We can do already before Pesach starts. The items placed, remember, already by tomorrow morning by 11:30. Factually, we are basically out of the clear of Chametz world. So by 11:30, you should be totally in Pesach mode. So what does it matter if you open up the wine a little earlier? It doesn't make a difference. In fact, it says it's a good idea. Get the table ready, get your house set up, get everything in order for the Seder. Get yourself prepared early. Check the lettuce leaves to make sure that they're bug-free. I told the story last night. We had a leek soup like 2 weeks ago on Shabbos that was full of bugs, and that was not cool. So you really want to check stuff. It's the first time in my life I've ever experienced that, by the way. Dry them and avoid any concern of sorry, people keep messaging here to join in. And all right, so dry them to avoid concern of wetting the matzah, because if you don't want your lettuce to make the matzah wet, so when the lettuce will later be used to fill the matzah and karech. Also grate the horseradish and prepare the charoises and so on. Basically everything that we need to do to get ready for the Seder, everything that's considered Seder prep, let's bring it on board and get it going so we are totally 100% ready for the Seder. Do this early on in the day. Although the items for the kaira must be prepared, also, by the way, coming tonight, learning b'schus for my Zaidi, Yosef David, Neshama should have an Aliyah, and also tonight we were plagued with the loss of Rabbi Groner in the Lubavitch world, and may his Neshama have an Aliyah as well, and all those who need a refuah shalema, especially and particularly a refuah shalema for Adir Yedid, who Yehuda ben Henda Yecheved. He's a really strong refuah shalema. Really want to make sure that Eibishter takes care of him, because he's a young guy and a big family, and we are hoping and asking the Eibishter for a complete refuah shalema for him. Although the items for the kaira must be prepared in advance, nevertheless, it's the Chabad custom to arrange them on the kaira only at night. So even if you prepare everything ahead of time, don't actually set them up on the kaira. Do that, like, I guess, right before the Seder, already when it's Pesach night, tomorrow night. Immediately prior to Kiddush, the recital of Kiddush at the Seder, that's when you set up your kaira. That's when you want to do it. You can have everything laid out on another plate, but don't actually set up your kaira until last second, until that point in time. Alrighty. Roasted meat is not consumed at the Seder because it resembles the Karban Pesach, meat that is cooked in its own juices, meaning that it is placed in a pot with water or any other liquids, and it stews in the fluids that emerge from the meat. When heated, it is not considered roasted meat. Nevertheless, there's an issue of marzain. It can be confusing for roasted meat by an observer who concluded that it is permissible to eat roasted meat at the Seder. It is therefore prohibited. Even meat that is first cooked in water and then roasted is prohibited for the same reason. So I guess we try and avoid those types of foods by the Seder. Interesting. So a pot roast or things like that should not be consumed by the Seder. Foods that do not require shlita, such as fish and eggs, may be eaten at the Seder, even if they are roasted. When one sits down to eat and drink during the festival, Rambam states that he is obligated to feed the stranger, the orphan, the widow, along with any other person that is suffering from misfortune. One who acts contrarily and closes his doors and doesn't really leave the door open so that he can drink with his wife and children without providing food and drink, this is not a great way. Also, this year, obviously, we're not having guests. So whatever we got to do ahead of time. We got to set up our Seder ahead of time so that we give money and whatever ahead of time so that people have and be considered like we actually have guests this year. Men should purify themselves in a mikvah today. Obviously, we're not going to have a mikvah, so Rabbanim are saying go for a shower. From the 10th hour of the day, it's been to eat matzah. The matzah tomorrow, we have a minhag not to eat it, whatever. But from Purim, we don't eat it. In these countries, however, it is customary to refrain from eating matzah ashir altogether from the time of eating chametz. This concept of not basically want to be excited for what's it called for Pesach. The concept of not retaining an appetite nevertheless remains, and only a small amount of food should be eaten from about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We shouldn't be eating too much until the Seder. 4:13. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, fill up. You want to have a pizza. Actually, no, you can't have pizza, guys. Doesn't work. You want to have whatever it is, do it before 4 o'clock. By 4 o'clock tomorrow, you should stop eating anything to do with serious chametz. It's forbidden to create a new flame during Yom Tiv, but it's permissible to draw a new flame from the one that already existed. From that reason, it's necessary to prepare a flame that will remain lit from Erev Pesach until it is needed to light Yom Tiv candles on the second night of Pesach. So have yourself a lich that you can use for an all-purpose flame if you ever need. So have one of these Yortzeit candles going, and then if you need an extra flame or something, then you have that available to pull from. Someone who is accustomed to setting timers in their home on Erev Shabbos should make sure that they're adjusted for 2 days of Yom Tiv, including late nights of Seders. So if that's something that you're particular about, take care of it. Erev Tav Shilin becomes necessary when Yom Tov occurs on Thursday and Friday because we're going into a Shabbos. Don't forget, many overlook this importance, and it becomes a big whole halacha. You should prepare the Erev Tav Shilin as described below, and there's a whole thing. There's a whole process. You do it, but I'm not going to jump into that now. That's for another time. Erev Chatzeros is a whole other thing. But bottom line, you want to make sure you have your Erev Tavshilin done. The Rebbe Rashab would pray Mincha on Erev Pesach at an early hour. He made sure to daven at an early hour on Erev Pesach for whatever reason. The Rebbe Rashab felt it was something worthwhile. So on Erev Pesach, if you want to do something nice, daven Mincha early. And it's generally vital to pray at least a little earlier than usual to allow. So you also have to say their carbon Pesach immediately following Mincha, and that takes a little bit of time as well. And Shkia is 7:28, so you don't want to be rushing into Pesach. Pesach's a big one, a lot happening. It's good to be settled down a little bit earlier. Make a list in the day what you need to still do. I have a list sitting here in front of me of what I need to get done tomorrow, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to set up what you need to get done and jump into it and be ready early. Be ready early tomorrow, and have yourself prepared early on in the day. All right, next. Shkia is about 7:30. Find out, this is for New York City, but you have to find out exactly where you are, what exactly your calendar works out to. Chazal did not obligate a person to recite Seder Carbon Pesach in the precise moment the Carbon Pesach would have been offered. It is sufficient to recite it during the hours in which the offering of the Carbon Pesach is permissible. For that reason, if someone neglected to say Seder Carbon Pesach in the time frame, they may recite it at any time during Seis Chavim. So even if it's already a little bit past Shkia, you can still say Seder Carbon Pesach. I've actually always wondered that. Some authorities insisted if the carbon was not offered in its proper time, it may still be slaughtered until nightfall. So that's why you can still say it, or at least if the blood may be thrown on the altar before the three stars emerge. So basically, make sure you leave time to say Seder Carbon Pesach. It's a big one. It's like actually offering the Carbon Pesach, and it would be beautiful to be able to actually have that done in a good time. All right, next thing. Chazal Seder Carbon Pesach. Our prayers take the place of the offering of the Beis Mikdash. The mincha service replaces the carbon tamid shall be in ha'arbaim. Also, by the way, guys, tomorrow in davening, no mizmor l'soida, no mizmor l'soida. When the Beis Mikdash stood, the Carbon Pesach was offered after the afternoon tamid. Therefore, the Seder Carbon Pesach was recited directly after mincha. The text is found in the Seder and the Haggadah. The Rebbe's explanation of the Alter Rebbe's choice of wording and his version of Seder Carbon Pesach appears in the Haggadah, and the Rebbe personally compiled the Haggadah Shel Pesach in Likutei Tamei Minhag. In a number of seichos, the Frierdiker Rebbe mentioned that his father, the Rebbe Rashab, would not simply recite Seder Carbon Pesach, but would actually study it. So some people actually make a whole point that they study it at great length, and you can go over it. This was discussed in the Sikha of Shabbos Mevorchim Nisan in 1988. When the Rebbe calls for actually preparing to offer the Carbon Pesach, he explains that one of the ways in which this is accomplished is through studying the detailed laws of the Pesach offering, because you know that as Mashiach gets closer, we're actually going to be offering a Carbon Pesach. The Frierdiker Rebbe offered a powerful description of the effects of the Rebbe Rashab's recital of Seder Carbon Pesach. After recital, and more precisely, the study of Carbon Pesach would take a good hour, and at times an hour and a half. An utterly different kind of light filled the home, such as Atzilus kind of ambience. Everything became joyful. So items that meet the eye now shown with unique grace. That was such a satisfying atmosphere, is what the Rebbe was describing. Anyhow, continuing forward over here, and the mood that was felt on Erev Pesach following the study of the Carbon Pesach was not only a preparation for Yom Tov, rather, this was literally Yom Tov itself. It was a joy derived from the good and the greatest and the finest expectation of Mashiach's arrival. Here, Mashiach comes, and there is the Beis Hamikdash, and here we are offering the Carbon Pesach. We are engaged in this offering with such a delight. The Erev Pesach delight was different from that of Simchas Torah. I'm going to skip over here. There's a lot of stuff about to call all about the Carbon Pesach. A lot of nice stuff over here. You can check this out. A word of caution. I think I'm going to switch over to Facebook. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. We have one person here. Either which way. Okay. If you are here and you're with me, say hello or message me on WhatsApp. Jumping into this, I'd love to see who's here with me. Word of caution, fire safety organizations recommend that if you leave a gas burner lit over Yom Tov, make sure that a nearby window is open at least 4 inches, and another window is open on the other side of the house to allow for proper ventilation. Also, make sure that your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide are present and active. So if you have a blech on going over Yom Tov, you want to make sure that's set up properly as well. And this way you can have things in order. If you use liquid wax candles that are placed in small glass holders before being lit, called neromim, it is recommended that you first place a small quantity of water or oil in the bottom of the glass holder on Erev Yom Tov, so that the metal discs that hold whatever, whole thing about how you light the candles. Be nice to give tzedakah in advance of the 2-day Yom Tov, as well as for the following Shabbos. So, because you're not going to be able to give tzedakah for 3 days. So, it's a nice thing to do, to give a little tzedakah. When lighting candles, L'Hagin Ner Shel Yom Tov and Shechianu. And tonight's candle lighting will be about 7:10. So Shkia is actually about 7:30, but 7:28. But 7:10 p.m. is Lich Benching. Find exactly in your area what exactly is a good time in your area. Continuing forward over here. Going forward. One is running late. He or she may light the candles after Yom Tov has begun, provided the fire is taken from a pre-existing flame. That's why it's good to have a candle burning the whole Yom Tov. Especially second night, you need a light from a pre-existing flame anyways. If a man lights candles, he omits Shachianu because he will be reciting Shachianu in Kiddush later on. All right, Seder, Wednesday night. tomorrow night, actually, how it goes. Marv begins with Shir Malos, and regular Marv for festivals, if you accidentally said, the blessing beginning or concluding the end of the weekday Shemona Esrei. There's interesting halacha. On the first 2 nights of Pesach, it's customary to recite the entire Hallel together with a minyan. Obviously, there's no minyan now, so that ain't happening. But it is nice to. I'm going to switch over to Facebook over here. Anyone wants to pop in, I'm going to continue from over there.